They thought their German Shepherd was making their toddler's meltdowns worse, until one terrifying night proved the dog was the only one who understood what was really happening. A desperate cry, a cold little body, and a loyal dog locked outside fighting to save the child no one else realized was in danger. They thought their German Shepherd was making their son worse. They were completely wrong. The sound of a 90-pound dog hitting a toddler is unmistakable. Caleb was on the playroom floor screaming. And Rex was standing over him, not backing away, not stopping. He did it again. It kept happening. And every time it got worse. Laura Hensley was a pediatric occupational therapist, 11 years. She had written clinical notes about animals like this, dogs that agitated distressed children, amplifying meltdowns, disrupting sensory regulation. She knew the literature. She knew what overstimulation did to a developing nervous system. She knew exactly what she was looking at. She was wrong about all of it. Rex had been in their home 3 years before Caleb arrived. A 4-year-old working dog rescue. Calm, obedient, predictable. He slept at the foot of their bed. He waited at the door without being told. For 14 months after Caleb came home, Rex's behavior was unremarkable. He kept distance. He moved through the house the way he always had, quiet, deliberate, certain of himself. Then Caleb turned 15 months old, and Rex changed. The first time Caleb was reaching for a toy car just out of reach. Ordinary toddler frustration. Rex came from the hallway faster than a walk. He crossed the room, lowered his head, and pressed his nose directly into Caleb's open screaming mouth. Not aggression, no teeth, no sound, no raised hackles, just his nose, inches from the boy's face, inhaling. Caleb screamed louder. Rex did not move. Laura pulled him back by the collar. Rex turned immediately and sat beside her, calm, composed, watching the boy. She filed it as odd. She noted it. That detail would matter. She didn't know that yet. The second time, Caleb was in his high chair. A small cry, he dropped his spoon. Rex was in the kitchen before the sound finished. He rose onto his rear legs, planted both paws on the tray, and pushed his muzzle toward Caleb's face. Same behavior, same slow, deliberate inhale. Dan pulled him off. Rex sat, waited. The third time, Laura was holding Caleb when he began to cry. A harder cry, the kind that came from somewhere below frustration. Rex crossed the living room and stood against her arm, pushing his nose toward the boy's face, unyielding, not stopping until she stepped back. That was the night she said it out loud. He's agitating him. Every single time Caleb cries, Rex makes it worse. He's reinforcing the distress. She had used those exact words in clinical documentation. She had the training. She had the years. She had the framework that told her with professional certainty what she was watching. Dan didn't argue. He couldn't. She was the expert in the room. He had never done this before, not once. But neither of them asked why he started now. Rex went to the outdoor kennel the following Monday. Dan built it in a weekend. Solid, weatherproof, large enough for full comfort. 2 bowls, his bed from the laundry room, his leash on a hook by the gate. This was not cruelty. This was management. This was the responsible evidence-based decision of 2 adults who understood child development. The kennel door closed. Rex sat inside it and did not bark. He pressed his nose to the gate and watched the house until the kitchen light went off. If you have ever watched an animal go still at the exact moment it realizes it cannot help. Subscribe now, because what happened 4 nights later is the part no one in that emergency room could initially explain. It was 2:17 in the morning. From the kennel at the back of the yard came a sound Laura had never heard Rex make in 3 years. Not barking, something lower, a sustained vocalization that rose from a whine into something with physical weight behind it. She was at the window before she was fully awake. Rex was at the gate, both front paws on the door, throwing his body against it, not frantic, deliberate, rhythmic. She stood at the window for 4 seconds. Then she went to Caleb's room. The nightlight was on. The mobile was still. The room smelled faintly of something she couldn't name. Sweet, slightly wrong. Caleb was in the crib, eyes open, not crying, not moving. His lips were pale. His fingers curled against the mattress. The room temperature was 71 degrees. His skin was ice cold. She screamed for Dan. The ambulance arrived in 11 minutes. Caleb's blood glucose registered at 38 milligrams per deciliter in the driveway. Normal for a toddler is between 70 and 100. At 38, the brain begins losing its primary fuel. The margin to permanent neurological consequence is not measured in hours. It is measured in minutes. Has your dog ever done something that made no sense until it was the only thing that made sense? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. Dr. Miriam Voss, pediatric endocrinologist at Children's Medical Center, sat across from Laura and Dan on the second morning. Your son has a form of congenital hyperinsulinism. She said his glucose was dropping episodically. The crying you observed, that was the symptom. Low blood sugar in a toddler presents as irritability, distress, inexplicable crying. His body was signaling what it needed. It just couldn't say so. Another 9 minutes at that level, and we would be having a very different conversation. Then it came apart the way a wrong answer does when the right one finally lands. Rex pressing his face into Caleb's face when the boy cried, smelling his breath, reading the drop before any monitor registered it. Rex rising against the high chair tray, muzzle toward the boy's mouth, not agitation. Alerting. Rex insisting against Laura's arm, nose toward the child's face when the cry sounded different, when the breath was already wrong. And the kennel gate at 2:17 a.m. Rex throwing his body against the door, the only language left to him, the guardian locked outside by the person he was trying to protect. Dogs possess an olfactory system approximately 100,000 times more sensitive than a human's. During hypoglycemic episodes, the body releases isoprene, a volatile compound on the breath. In concentrations detectable by a dog up to 22 minutes before a glucometer registers the shift. Rex had no formal medical alert training. No one selected him for scent detection. He learned it through proximity, through watching the one person in the house whose chemistry changed in a way that smelled like emergency. No one taught him. He was paying attention in a way no one else in the house knew how to. Caleb came home in 4 days. A continuous glucose monitor, small oval, clipped to his upper arm, now tracked his levels and sent alerts to both their phones. Rex came back inside that night. He walked through the door, crossed the living room, and stood at the foot of Caleb's bouncy chair. He lowered his head. He exhaled once, long, slow. Then he lay down on the rug beside it. Every guardian deserves to be seen, even the ones who never asked for anything in return. If these stories matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. A week later, Laura went to the kennel in the back of the yard. She sat down on the ground with her back against the gate, the same gate Rex had thrown himself against in the dark. He came and stood beside her, his shoulder against her leg. She said one thing, "I'm sorry, Rex." He didn't move for a moment. Then he pushed his nose against her hand and sat down. Rex lay on the rug beside the bouncy chair, chin resting on the floor, eyes tracking the small oval light on Caleb's arm each time it blinked green in the dark.